Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another episode of Slice of Golf. Again, you're joined by, obviously, me, Chris, and Tim. We're all quite excited to get involved in this first bit, just because it was quite a heated discussion that we went had today.
Are we going straight in? We're going straight in now.
Yeah, we're going straight in.
I can tell it's been on your mind all afternoon then.
Yeah, a little bit. So for those who were listening last week, you will know that we started talking about the return to golf and how basically Chris's practice has been non-existent, and both me and Tim have been using the PuttOut. Tim, I don't believe you don't have the mat, do you? You just have the whole, whatever that contraption thing is.
I have the contraption, and I've ummed and ahed about the official mat, but basically I have like what's effectively like a 7-foot mat in my living room, which is like the perfect substitute. So I just figured I'd save myself 65 quid.
Yep.
The only thing I'd say about that mat, Tim, because you sent the video through the other day, I find it really stressful that you putt the opposite way to the lines go. Like the lines go horizontal and you're putting across. I'm like, surely follow the lines. Surely go with the lines.
But there's an interesting quirk to that. So I have wooden floorboards in my living room. Right. So actually what happens is that the PuttOut, you can put the contraption at one end of the mat, so it's lining up on one floorboard, obviously in the middle of one floorboard, find the corresponding floorboard on the other side of the mat, and presto, you've kind of got your window and your line to work on.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Genius. Right.
Why are we bringing this up? Why are we bringing this up?
Why are we bringing this up?
It started because Chris, you'd done very, very little in terms of practice, and you set yourself way behind the boys. So you decided to pull your finger out and have been doing a little bit of practice this week. First of all, how's it gone? And then, well, I'll let you lead us into where it spiraled to today.
Okay, cool, sure. So after last week, I was like, not panicking, but I was thinking, you know what, I've done actually nothing. I should probably do something. So immediately rolled out the putting mat. It's been out ever since, and just been doing the classic. Finish a meeting, get up, do 10 putts, go back down, do another meeting or whatever, do a bit of work, get back up, do 10 putts. And I'm going to level with you. I'm really pleased that I did do this, because for the first day, honestly, I was slicing putts. I was like not like off. They weren't going off the mat or anything, but I was like the only way I can describe it is I was coming like across the putt, and it would start off straight, and then it got to like the last like foot before the hole, it would just kind of slide off to the right, and I was just like, and I can see myself doing it because it's got the lines on the putting mat, and I was like, right, it goes that good, and then I was literally like, whoomp, like straight off. I was like, what am I doing? What is this bizarre swing that I seem to have picked up? So literally just spent the first day just focusing on like, take it back straight, put it through straight, like just do that. And so that's when I sent you guys the message being like 10 putts from, is it 7 feet? 10 putts from 7, or is it
6? 6 is the length of the putt, mate.
10 putts from 6 feet. How many perfect putts do you expect to get? Ben came back in about 10 seconds with 0, which shocked me because I thought Ben would be a bit more competitive than that. Tim said 1, and I was like, 1 for me, maybe even 2. Like that's where I feel like good. On day 1, I was like 0 over 10, 0 out of 10, 0 out of 10. Everything just sliding off to the right. Really irritated me. Fully committed to it for the next few days. Then managed a 2, or Tim managed a 2 on day 1. Tim sends through a video. First putt, perfect putt. Second putt, perfect putt. I was starting to think, where the fuck is this going? This is it's going to have a perfect game. You then proceeded to get 8 putts, but not perfect ones. And I was like, okay, this is my motivation now. When was that? That was maybe Friday.
Yeah,
maybe Friday. So I've gone day 1, 0 perfect putts. Day 2, I'm looking at 1 or 2 perfect putts out of 10. Today we're on Tuesday. I managed a 4 out of 10 today, so absolutely delighted with that. And that just kind of led to the point where we're now 5 days in. Ben,
Yeah, I'll have to apologise. You put that video in probably looking for like, oh, well, that was good, or congratulations. I was like, well, it's just all bollocks.
yeah, no. And what made me laugh was the fact that over the course of 5 days or whatever it's been, Tim sent some videos, I've sent some videos, both making some good putts, perfect putts. Putt King Fowlis here hasn't sent a single video, which raised some suspicions immediately. And after him saying that he doesn't expect to get a single perfect putt when he takes 10 putts, I thought, you know what? I feel like we can go fishing here. Yeah. So off Tim and I went, little fishing trip. and Ben
so much better than I could ever have dreamt.
Yeah, Ben proceeded to bite beautifully over and over and over again. So, Ben, talk us through. You seem to think that the perfect putt is not designed well because you shouldn't be looking to get a perfect putt. Is that right? What have I understood?
I mean, it wouldn't be like a golf tool to be very well marketed and lead us into, not really telling the truth. Yeah, I just think for those who have seen the perfect putt, it's got a little hole beyond the actual hole.
Why?
And
explain why.
But the idea being is that if you hit into that, it is considered a perfect putt.
Yeah, but why?
Because of the pacing.
Correct, right?
Correct.
You're supposed you never want to leave a putt short. You always want to roll it in, and if it misses just by a little bit, so you can still make the same putt.
This is where it's subjective, and this is where I think putting at home is no.
Is it subjective?
Literally not subjective.
It is, and because when no, it is because when do you ever, how frequently on a golf course do you get a 5 or a 6 foot putt that's flat and has no break in it?
A 5-footer, quite often.
Dead flat, no break. Dead flat, no break.
So I'm going to be honest with you. According to the aim point, there's 2 points there, but according to the aim point workshop, around every hole there are 2 points where it is a flat putt.
Okay, so out of 18 holes, how often do you think you get a 5 foot putt that's dead flat? And
no, it depends where you play. But here's my question. But here's my point. Every putt that you hit is a straight putt. You're just not aiming at the hole every time.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, and I get that. But every putt is going to require differing degrees of how hard you've got to hit it, right? And then there's some putts you cannot drill it into the hole. So the whole idea of the perfect putt, you've got to hit it fairly well so that it goes up and beyond the white cup and into the stop bit. There are going to be some putts you hit. If you're putting downhill, you're going to have to look to, or on a slope, you're going to have to look to drop the putt, ideally drop the ball into the side. So this is where I'm like, that the whole idea of getting the ball in the hole, that's it. That is the game of golf. And I read perfect putt and I'm like, yeah, but you're basing that on a dead straight, dead flat lie with no break from 5 feet every time.
No. Again, the point of the perfect putt is to train your speed and your putting stroke. It's not meant to myriad of putts you might have.
Yeah, wait, I didn't hear what either of you said. Tim, go first. Yeah. Tim, go first.
So I feel you're missing the point of what the perfect putt tool is for. It is not designed to replicate every myriad of putts you might face on the golf course. The only way to do that is to go on the golf course. The point of the perfect putt training aid is to drill into your stroke and your speed and the line that you putt with. And like Chris says, wherever you putt, whatever the putt is, you are putting a straight line with the same stroke. All you're doing on differing greens is you're factoring in that it's going to turn at some point. It still doesn't affect the speed or the stroke style that you're doing. So your criticism with this training aid. Wait, your criticism with this training aid is that it can't replicate every putt you could ever possibly hit.
No, you were, because it came off early on. Like you were saying, I think it came up that I hadn't hit any into the perfect putt thing, and I'm like, yeah, but different putts are going to require you to hit it, different lengths. I just aim for the white cup. That's what I use it for. A putting mat, a training aid, a putting training aid, whatever it may be. You're only ever working on kind of line if you're working at home, because the weight is irrelevant until you get to a golf course and you practice on a putting green. So the weight, in actual fact, doesn't matter. So this is where, for me, the returning mechanism thing, that for me is the only benefit of using it. It'd be no different to using a glass. It'd be no different to putting to the actual hole that's on the floor. This is where I think the perfect, and my angle today was like, I've hit some pretty quick putts and it's caught in that hole. And I'm fairly certain with the COVID rules of having the flag in, that it would mean the ball goes tinging straight into that pin and bouncing out. Just based on COVID rules, I always putt with flag out when I have the option. And I agree with that, it would go in. But at the moment, because of the speed I've hit some of those putts and it's caught in there before, I am convinced with 100% certainty that it would hit the flag and bounce out. That was my angle.
Okay, I can see we're never going to agree on this, which is amusing. So this is the first time that I think we've had a proper kind of altering views on something. If you can train, I don't care whether it's over from the 2 foot line, the 3 foot line, the 4 foot line, the 5 foot line, the 6 foot line, a repeatable putting stroke that you can train the speed to get a perfect putt from each of those distances. How would that not benefit you when out on the hole?
Yeah, but I got called out for aiming at the hole instead of aiming at the perfect putt.
No. You said you weren't going. You said you were happy if the ball didn't go in the perfect putt hole and it just went into the little white circle before that.
Yeah.
Whereas my point of, well, that's fine. Okay, but
no, my
if
point
you get
is
it into the perfect,
that's what I'm aiming at. I don't ever think, right, I need to make perfect putts because I'm like, as long as the ball's in the hole, I don't care. I don't aim at all at that little.
So this surprises me because if even from a pure aim point of view, if you aim like, that's why I think people's putting stats have improved with the flag in, because they're aiming at a smaller target, right? Even if you just purely did it from that point of view and aim for the little hole at top, you're aiming for a much smaller target than the big white. Sure, it's the actual hole. And yes, sure, if it goes into the white thing, you've drained the putt. However, I cannot believe they haven't already done research or whatever on this. I'd love to know actually, if anyone has any research to show this or has seen it, does someone who can train a repeatable stroke getting perfect putts, does that translate to the course? Because Ben's saying absolutely not. I reckon it would. I reckon that someone who could drain perfect putt after perfect putt would be a better putter than someone who can't make perfect putts.
My problem is you are, and this is what I think triggered it, is what you're essentially saying is you're aiming beyond the hole.
Yes.
But then the problem then comes if you then take that out onto the course and you're used to aiming beyond the hole and you get a breaking putt and you're already looking an inch or two past it. Whereas I'm just aiming for the big white cup.
From everything that I've heard, if you miss the putt, you want to miss it 1-2 feet long, right? So if you miss you should be training yourself to leave the putt long.
Oh, I don't know. One, I'm not a coach. Two, I wouldn't like a downhill putt, so I'd rather leave a putt short and I was putting uphill.
Would you rather leave a putt short or make it or go long? Which would you rather?
Could not care less.
Well, really, if it's gone past the hole, at least it's had a chance of going in.
Yeah, you've got to give it a chance to go in.
That's where line is going to be more important than weight.
No, definitely not. You have to line, but hit it before it's not gone in.
Right, both of you spoke at the same time then.
Okay, I'll go. If you hit the perfect line but don't hit it hard enough, it's not going in.
But if you hit it offline and you just blaze it right by, yeah.
Sure, both equals. But if you hit the right line...
A missed putt is a missed putt. I'd rather leave it short if it leaves me a foot from the hole than try and make it and leave it 4 feet the other side of the hole.
Yeah, but if you hit the same line, one harder than the other, one you are aiming just beyond the hole and the other one you are aiming at the hole, and let's say the one you're aiming at the hole leaves it short, the one you're aiming past the hole's gone in.
All right.
I will preface this with none of us are putting experts. We all take more than 30 putts around, and but yeah, if anyone from PuttOut or whoever makes that is listening, could you let us know if you actually have any research on this? Because this would be really interesting.
Right, Tim.
Should we put it to the audience? Audience, what do you think? Is Ben full of shit, or Tim and I full of shit? Who is the most full of shit? Put that in the comments on whether you're watching YouTube, wherever. Let us know.
Right, Tim, back to practice. Been getting in more funny.
Have we put you in a bad mood now, Fallis? Are you going to be in a grumpy mood for the next hour?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, come on. My practice. Unfortunately, the weather has been pretty pants for the last week, so I've not been able to go back out with the foam golf balls. So I've not been terrorizing any innocent park goers this week. Weather is forecast to be better over the coming days, so I am going to try and go out a bit more, incorporate it into a little bit of early morning sort of exercise before work. So one thing I did get out weirdly the other day, which I've not used for about 18 months. I had to actually Google what the official name for this training aid is, and it's called the Swing Guide. Randomly, it's the official name for it is a Swing Guide, but that doesn't mean anything. What it basically is, you probably will have seen it. It's the little plastic tool that you clip onto your the handle of your golf club, sort of shaped in an L shape. Exactly, you got it. The whole purpose of it is to help you with your stop hinging your wrists, stop getting overly wristy, and to control the club face better in the swing, I believe. So there was no real reason, to be honest, for me to take it out. I thought, why not? I'll get that out, see how I'm going with that. Chucked it away after about 3 swings because it didn't really do anything for me. It's kind of like, okay, fine, yeah. Just one of those tools that I was told to buy after I had a lesson about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. It's just been collecting dust in like the bottom.
I also have that tucked away somewhere, used 3 times and never used again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's listening to this has probably got a similar story to tell about some swing training aids. We've got one friend who talks about them all the time. Doesn't buy into them, but he's always like, "Oh,
what's the one that's like a kettlebell that you stand between your arms?"
Yeah, I like the look of that one. All to do with like keeping your arms together or something, not letting the elbows bend out.
I've seen Justin Rose use it.
Justin Rose, yeah, that's it.
Squidgy ball, and it's got it looks like a big necklace, like a Run DMC.
Yeah.
Big chain thing with like this squidgy ball that you keep your.
I don't think you can beat the old ways. The best, getting the towel stuck under your armpit, always going to be one of the best things. Putting the towel down, so you're not hitting early.
No, I'm not sold on the towel.
I did way too much of that, and just meant my right elbow never released from the body, so it ended up my swing was as flat as a pancake instead of kind of getting any height at all. So it always just meant here rather than actually taking it away and up. But I know Colin Morikawa uses it, so I'm not surprised you went there. No, for me this week, after the chat last week and kind of come to the revelation that I was the only person apparently on planet Earth that interlocked their fingers when putting. I thought everyone did. Although anyone who interlocked when they did their full swing, I just was under the impression that was how they putted.
Mate, apparently, I've never paid that much attention to other people's putting grips. If I'm honest, it's just not something I've ever done.
And I think it's never come up in a lesson. It's never come up in conversation with anyone. I don't think it was just what I instinctively did. So I was like, there must be someone somewhere in the world, someone on the PGA Tour, European Tour that interlocks. Turns out there isn't. No one does it. So had a Google. Yeah, got mugged off with that. So decided, okay, let's change. So because I had a bit of spare time in my hands, I was like, right, let's research the most successful putting grip on tour, and it was the reverse overlap. So I was like, right, we'll give that a go. And
I'll pause for a second. We spent the last 2 years having a go at Tim for changing a putting grip every 30 seconds, and what you've now just done is.
I will say I was in the process of changing it because I did say last week it was like I didn't really like the way it was feeling, and all right, so I started playing around with a few things, and then after the podcast last week of finding out that interlocking is just not the way you do things, I was like, okay, let's actually find out what is the most successful, and let's give that a go before getting too far into becoming obsessed with one thing. And I still stand by it. I've hit a lot of putts with it. No idea how anyone does the claw or the pencil grip.
Not try either of them.
Scratching golf balls all over my mum and dad's hallway the other day. Talking about missing the putt out mechanism thing, I was hitting the wood flooring, which wasn't good. So in progress. So for those listening last week, I got super speed training sticks. Just my timings were awful this week. It was any time. So I set out when I'm due to train each day. So we usually leave like an hour and a half, 2 hour block, and you can't train them on consecutive days. So I managed to only get one session in last week because you need a rest day. And then it was like Wednesday, started raining. I was like, shit, right, move it to Thursday. It was nice, but I was working. When it comes to training time, what happened? I was pissing it down. And then that kind of snowballed through into the weekend. So we've stalled on that part, but back on it today.
Can I just pause you there? Because after that conversation, you talking about it, I contacted Superspeed, and someone from Superspeed, they want to come on the podcast, which could be really cool. So don't know when, but at some point in the future, we'll have someone from Superspeed on here talking about speed training, overspeed training, what they are, etc. So that could be quite interesting.
It's good fun. It is a good fun kind of 10, 15 minutes of training. And if you're looking to, it might be for some people. Not saying yes or no because everyone's different, but again, that's a training aid that I quite like so far anyway. Right, chaps, moving on. We've had a massive week of professional golf. Although let's start off with the European Tour, because I actually didn't know there was a tournament until it started. And by the looks of your two faces, you're the same. I mean, there's probably good reason for that. 15 total million reasons. That happened over in the States. And another thing was that 48 of the world's top 50 headed over and played on the PGA Tour this week. The two who weren't there were injured. So there weren't many of the big boys heading to Europe. So it wasn't a big...
Did you see who won it?
Rosnar.
Who was my pick for the year. He was my one to watch. So with that.
I did see that. He finished at 8 under in Qatar with a one-shot win. And, spoke about him. Last season, Rasmus Højgaard come 96th. Not a great outing for Rasmus. Not going to do his Ryder Cup hopes at the World of Good. So this is where, it's no great surprise that the big boys decided to go over to America this week. So the total prize pot for the Players' Championship at Sawgrass was $15 million. The prize pot for the European Tour event was $1.2 million. So, that's where all the big European players were at. I know both of you watched it. What do we think about the players? Oh, what a golf tournament!
Who's going to go?
Tim, go on.
I mean, where to begin? I will say, I'll go out on a limb and say, I think golf social media has peaked for the year because Ian Poulter, I think, just won media this weekend. If you've not seen it, go on Ian Poulter's Instagram. But basically, the situation was he was sat in the clubhouse having a bit of lunch post first day with Rory, Tyrrell, and Stenson. I think it was Stenson.
Yeah.
And just sort of sat around like, here we are, the boys all sat around. Here's Rory, here's Tyrrell. Henrik's just left. 29 over after the first day. Because it was one of those where I finally got my kind of timing set up so that on Thursday I was like, right, get it on from the start, super excited. And I think the first player on the tee when I was watching was Rory. So I was like, oh, brilliant, see Rory's first shot of the day. And it's like, and he absolutely gunned it into the forest.
And then the second one wasn't far off either, was it? It was off in the tree somewhere.
We'll talk about Rory, I'm sure, in a little bit more depth because certain things came to light over the weekend. Europeans doing well. Like Paul Casey right up there again. Yeah. Shane Lowry right up there. Westwood obviously doing great stuff. Course just looked insane. Apart from, I would say, probably the state of the green of the 17th on the first day, because that was actually a bit ridiculous.
How many balls were in the water?
I don't know in total how many were in, but I watched on the Friday morning. They had a compilation of all the shots onto the 17th, and there were guys like dropping it literally like 10 foot from the pin and were bouncing into the water.
Yeah, you had like, it was basically the first, I reckon at least one person from every group was in the water, at least, like minimum. Who was it that got 11?
Ben or Kevin Na. I know both of them shot.
No, someone else who got 11.
Well, Ben Ahn got 11, and then the following day backed out with a 2.
That's it, Ben Ahn, yeah. And that was the record, or one of the records that you don't want to have in golf. But it was, to begin with, the pin was right at the back on that first day, and players were going for it, and they were going right at it, and it was just like one bounce hop into the water. And I was like, what? Like, surely they've kind of figured this out. But then players were leaving it a little bit short, and it was still rolling off in the back, and then they left it 10 feet, 20 feet short on the bottom tier, and it just rolled off to the left off into the water.
Well, that's what Tommy did, right?
Where do you push it? Like, where do you put the ball? Like,
well, I'll tell you what, every single one of those players needs to just jump on the highlights and type in Adam Scott, because the guy was pin seeking the whole weekend. All 4 rounds he put it with inside, I think it was at 6 feet every time. He made it look so easy.
I think Bubba birdied it on the first day. Having seen like countless shots of guys just going in the drink and going short, and then Bubba just kind of strolls up to it, just plops it on, sinks his birdie putt, and just walks off again.
What I do think is amazing with that hole, how it was 140 yards? No, not even. 100 something like that. Take the water away. How many of those players miss the green? Not as many as they do when they stand up on that 17th.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The water gets in the head. I mean, Brendan Todd shanked. Did you see Brendan Todd shank? He almost hit the tree on the island by the camera tower.
I was just...
But Nick Doherty said that on the commentary. He said, "This is not a difficult hole. This is all in your head. This is all top 6 inches. This hole is because you're exactly right. Other than that, it's like it's 140 yards, dead straight. You could go down Top Golf, right, and be hitting effectively this hole, basically. But yeah, it's all water, which is just amazing when you think these are the best players in the world, and it still just absolutely does a job on them.
There's 2 things to this. First of all, it makes me feel better as a player, because if they're putting it into the water, then it's okay that I do it. The other thing is putting it into the water on the 17th, getting whatever score you get on there, walking onto the 18th, and then all you can see is water, and like the is looking fairway. I'm just like, those 2 holes could and did they beat people up? Yeah. Like, didn't Rory put 2 in the water on 18? Was it Rory? Was it on Friday? No. I put 2 into the water, and I was just like, you just can't do this. Just you can't come off 17, whatever score you've got, and then put 2 in the water on 18. Like, it's just
but I think the idea of if you've not played the 17th well, to then go on to the 18th and play a conservative shot, just keep it in play. I just don't think that's in the DNA of a top 50, 100 player. It's like, no, I expect to gun every single hole.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy watching it. It's as quite often is the case. I couldn't believe the number of big names not making the cut, and not only not making the cut, just nowhere fucking near it, just nowhere near it. Like. And it blows my mind when I see that, and I just
I mean,
tournaments that do that.
If you're listening to this and you listen to the DraftKings podcast, which we're actually recording afterwards, but you will have already heard it, you will know that we all had a bit of a train wreck of a week, and the big name players, again, the players that I was banking on to come top 5, top 10, Finau, Hovland, both went out. Cantlay, Rory, all very, very poor tournaments, kind of all went, and I'm sure I've missed out an absolute massive amount of players there. I kind of loved the whole competition, the whole tournament. I think I enjoyed that tournament probably more than any other I've watched over the past year. I've watched more golf than what I ever have in my life. Obviously, we've got a bit more free time. But I thought Sawgrass looked immaculate. Right, other than kind of echoing what Tim said, other than the 17th green on the Thursday, which looked a little bit difficult to try and play, there's barely a blade of grass out of place. Just some stats for you. So the prize pot was $15 million, the second biggest prize pot on the tour behind the Tour Championship. 2.5 million more than the next biggest tournament.
Wow, that's
which
huge.
Is what? What do you think the next biggest is after that? Timbo?
US Open.
US Open is correct on 12.5 million. So we're talking about the players, often considered, the fifth major and all that. But they're paying 2.5 million more in Sawgrass.
How does that happen?
I don't know. But here's the other majors as well. So the US Open clocks in at 12.5 million. The Masters is 11.5. The PGA Champs is 11, and then the Open is 10.75. Now, up until I think it was last week, and then I had a look at these today. I would just assume that the majors that was where the money was at. Oh, yeah, you hear the FedEx Cup's 10, the prize.
Well, the FedEx Cup's the whole year, the Order of Merit, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's something like the Players is the only one of those events that we're talking about that is exclusively owned by and run by the PGA completely exclusively.
Oh, right. Interesting.
I think that's the reason why it's got the biggest purse.
Nice.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the reason.
Well, I mean, wouldn't be surprised. Just actually realised we haven't actually touched upon it. I don't think. Anyway, but the winner was Justin Thomas.
We haven't.
He went through, the mid-round stretch where he just went birdie, birdie, eagle, birdie was outstanding. And Justin Thomas, again, we've kind of spoken about Spieth. And is this player back? Is this player back? Justin Thomas, I think he's just thrown his hat back into the ring right in time for major season. So he took it, for those of you who don't know, he took it by one shot on 14 under par, and the winner's check was 2.7 million, which is quite a nice day at the office.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, kind of continuing on the money trend, just because it's kind of staggering. Played 10 events this year, Justin. He leads the money list. Not only by a bit, only just over Bryson. So in 10 tournaments, how much do you think he's earned so far this year? Just in tournaments earnings.
And he earned 2 million from this. He earned 2 million from this one.
2.7 from this one. And bearing in mind, think about the year he's had. He's been okay, but you wouldn't say he's been Justin Thomas-esque.
Well, he was flying. He was flying at the start of the year.
It was only after his incident.
He had the two incidents in fairly quick succession, which would knock anybody. How much do I think he's won?
I reckon so. 2.2 is for the win. I reckon he's probably at. I'm going to say he's double that, so 5.5.
I'm going to say that's a good answer. I was going to say something like that. Go slightly lower. I'm going to say 4.5.
Okay. Well, Chris is closer. He's earned $5,372,000 this year.
And you said Bryson was above him?
No, just below him. He's just short. And we'll just quickly get out the numbers I've actually got.
So 10 events. So he's making an average of 500 grand an event.
Yeah, so Bryson's played 8 events and is 10 grand less than JT. So he's on 5,362,000 off of 8 events. Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. Right, Bryson and Westy, again, coming up 18. Absolute brilliant. It's brilliant again to see them in the final pairing. Whether you love or hate Bryson, I think it was good value. It was good entertainment on Sunday. And it was good to see Westy kind of pip him on this one. Just a shame it didn't quite. Long. Just to wrap up the money stats, here's a great stat that, I had to do a double take on this, and it does check out. So Bryson Westwood and Brian Harman all tied for second place on 12 under, as Westwood and Bryson were putting out on 18. So Bryson had a birdie opportunity, lipped out, tapped in for par. Lee Westwood made his to take solo second to relegate the other two to tie third. One of the most lucrative putts, I think, in the history of the game. The difference in prize money between solo second and tied third was an additional $750,000, $750K difference.
Wow.
That is a clutch putt. So where they were talking, the commentators were saying at the end, there's world ranking points, there's FedEx Cup points. I'm like, if that wasn't enough to get the old knees knocking, just the $750,000, because I'm fairly sure he would have somewhat known the breakdown there.
That's out.
fair play to him for making it. I don't know whether this has got a completely nothing to do with golf at all, but I don't know whether either of you two saw the photo of Dustin Johnson and Morikawa stepping out looking like me in my golf. I think it was on Friday or so. Obviously, both sponsored by TaylorMade, both sponsored by
outfits, was it?
And they were matching head to toe, absolutely everything.
They look like father and son because DJ's quite a bit taller, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Only other thing that I had noted down was a good showing from the European boys, some of the top European players. So at times, near the top of the table, we saw Casey, Rahm, Sergio, Fitzpatrick, Lowry, Westy, and Perez. They're just the few that I noted down. It was good to see them playing. Brighty, anything more on the players?
No, thoroughly enjoyed it. Very enjoyable to watch. Shit for me on Fantasy League, which if you've listened to that, you'll know. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was. I genuinely. Oh, the only other thing that I think is really interesting. I don't know if it's just me, but I swear, and I couldn't find any proof of this, but I swear Paul McGinley is now Bryson's biggest fan.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't he hating on Bryson 4 months ago?
He was hating on anyone who hit it any further than he did. So I think he was just hating on the game in golf.
I even went back through his Twitter feed to see if he used to be just hating on Bryson, but I couldn't actually find anything. But every time he was like, I love what Bryson's doing for the game, I was like, do you? I don't remember this being your point of view not that long ago. But hey, yeah, that was the only thing that stuck out for me. But I just love it. I love having Westy and Bryson in that same grouping at the end. It's brilliant.
And Lee Westwood, we're going to come onto this in a bit, but I don't think I've ever seen a professional golfer look like he's enjoying himself as much as what Lee Westwood does when he plays golf. Yes. Right, I've got 4 questions for both of you. No pressure on these questions coming out of Sawgrass. First one, how long before Jordan Spieth gets a win? Now, he wasn't at the top, but again, wasn't the Spieth of the past 3 years, say. He was, keeping the ball in play. And oddly enough, his putter wasn't really working this week. So how long before he gets a win?
Tim, you go.
He'll get a win this season.
100% this season.
Yeah, interesting.
100%.
Right, both of you work in branding and marketing. Personal branding, big thing apparently in the golfing world. Logos, everyone likes to have their own logos. Is there anything more shit than the Bryson silhouette of himself as his logo?
Phil Mickelson does the same, right? Doesn't he? Doesn't Phil Mickelson have a logo of himself?
Yeah, he does, but at least it's a silhouette of the whole body. And Kevin Na's recently started getting one. I don't know whether you two have seen this, but he's got one on the back of his shirts of him walking in the putts. But with those, I kind of feel like, well, at least it's a silhouette of the whole body. Whereas for those who've not seen it, it's, the flat cap's bad enough. I know he wears it in honor of Hogan, but, styles go out of fashion. That hat went out of fashion a while ago. And then that kind of features into the silhouette. Sorry, Tim, I know we interrupted you there.
No, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I was literally having this thought over the weekend that I was sort of studying gears, as ever. And I just noticed how many players now have their own personal brand, logo, trademark on their cap. You've kind of got the JT. You've got sort of, as we've touched on, you've got the Brysons, you've got Morikawa, you've obviously got Tiger. It's an interesting one because back in the day, it would just be the TW, right? It was just Tiger for the longest time. And it's obviously creeping in that loads of players doing it. And it's in loads of sports, by the way, because it's the same with tennis is the other big one. Tennis is the really, really big one. So Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, Murray all have personal logos, which goes on all their kit. It's just I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because the more players do it, it kind of loses a bit of how kind of special it is. But going back to your original question, I actually think that the Phil silhouette on his button down, full sleeve, going into the office on Wednesday morning shirt is not the one. Actually, when it's on the cuff of his wrist. I really object to that.
Yeah. In general, I think golf is like tennis. It's an individual sport, right? I think it's okay for players to have, well, they should have a strong personal brand. I think they should have that. I agree that there are some questionable branding decisions being made in terms of what, like the TW is just outstanding, always has been. But like, Phil's arms in the air, I'm not my favourite, but that doesn't mean it's not, people would recognise it anywhere. I suppose that's kind of the key part of it, isn't it?
I think the better version of it is like the Ricky Fowler thing of owning a colour on a day.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's cooler, personally.
Because when people associate.
Sorry, go, Chris.
No, I was just going to say when people associate a colour with you, that's strong. When people know, like, oh, who's the dude that wears orange, or who's the dude that wears red on a Sunday?
Yeah, so I think this is where it's somewhat going to potentially backfire for Ricky, because I did see some banter, I guess, on Twitter on Sunday. And they were saying, look, Victor Hovland's going to go down as the guy who's known to wear orange on a Sunday. I was like, oh, that's could very.
But yeah, I like the question in terms of personal. Yeah, I think it's important for them to have personal brands. I think that whether it's Bryson's is just the face silhouette, isn't it, with his hat. Yeah. I'm okay with them having personal brands. I'd like to see some better personal brands. Sure.
Cool. So I'm going to take that as there's a no. There's nothing more shit. All right. That's a firm no from both of you. Thank you. This again. So question number 3. This is me getting, I know, fully carried away in the emotion of this, but is Sawgrass the best golf course in the world?
Ooh.
Because I was watching it the other day and I thought there are no handshake easy holes, or it doesn't appear that way. There's danger on every hole. It's not a case of just get the driver out and whack it. There's strategy on everything. It doesn't look like there's easy shots. I'm pretty sure we'd have a flipping nightmare around it, but to watch a golf tournament, I thought it would, I don't know. I struggle to think of anything where I'm like, that's a better golf course.
I don't know that I could commit to saying it's the nicest golf course or the best golf course. It's definitely one that I would want to play. 100%. I think it'd be so much fun to go around. I think it depends. It's a very personal thing, picking a favourite golf course, isn't it? Depends what you like in a golf course. Think about this weekend. Where would you say that watching a golf tournament from your sofa, where's a better golf course? Just a disclaimer for everyone. Unfortunately, we've not played this golf course, and we've not played any that we're probably about to talk about, which is probably no great. But from a viewer's perspective, you see, I really like the English courses and the British courses, like the Irish, even some of the Irish. Like, I like the character of like a links course for me.
They do.
But I don't know if that's me like wanting to play that, as opposed to just being a. In terms of stadium, or even in terms of stadium courses, is it the best? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But I can't think of where else I'd go.
Yeah.
This is great content, Chris.
I was going to say,
giving the listeners what they want here. Wow, I mean, definitive answers.
We're just giving them time to think and ruminate for their own answers. That's all we're doing.
Okay, I'm going to try and be a bit more definitive.
Yeah, go.
No, I don't think it is the best golf course in the world. And the reason is, I think in terms of difficulty and golf courses set up to really challenge strategy, I think you could name something like Bethpage is probably a harder, more strategic golf course than Sawgrass, potentially. In terms of,
a better golf course.
Sorry?
But does it make it a better golf course?
If you're talking best,
because I'm thinking in here like aesthetic beauty. You've got the atmosphere that 17 brings. The closing hole at 18.
No, it's not the prettiest. No way.
Struggle to name a better closing hole. That is a pretty brutal test of golf.
It's not the prettiest. Augusta's a prettier golf course.
Okay.
Castletown Links in the Isle of Man is a prettier golf course, I would say. Rare, weird renegade shout, but it's prettier. By the way, if you've gone to YouTube and Google Castletown links, you won't be disappointed. I promise.
It's a stadium golf course, and it's an excellent stadium golf course.
Yeah, if you're classifying, of the stadium courses, we talk a lot around having different types of events. Like if you're going to have like a stadium big spectacle event versus a classic links event, of the stadium courses with loads of fans making loads of noise, absolutely it's the best. No question. That's absolutely, it is probably the best. I'll answer that. Do I think it's the best? No. Do I think it's the prettiest? No. I would put other courses ahead of it. But yeah, in terms of the big atmosphere stadium courses and the 17th hole, yeah, those kind of courses, yeah, it's at the top of the pile.
Cool. Right, final question, which I'm expecting equally as indirect answers. Is the 17th the best par 3 in golf?
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt not, did you say?
One of.
Yeah, I don't want that. I'm saying yes or no. Come on, mates. Yes.
Give an answer, Chris.
Give other par 3s.
16th at Augusta, 12th at Augusta, 7th at Pebble, just to name a few. 16th in Phoenix, with the atmosphere there.
Yeah, that's very different.
Where's postage stamp? One of the ones.
I will go, yes, the 17th provides a shitload of entertainment, a test. Yeah.
I think it is. I think it's better than the one at Pebble. Pebble is quite iconic, and it's a challenge because you've got the wind off the front, but you see a lot of players making it on the green. We witnessed a hell of a lot of highly paid, highly skilled professionals this weekend. You know, first day potentially could be down to the greenkeeping, but we saw a lot of people put the ball in the drink, and maybe 12th at Augusta maybe has that level of effect on players, but I don't think a hole in golf gets in their head as much as the 17th does at Sawgrass.
So I think this is the thing, right? PGA Tour, on the tour, the power that par, in terms if we're talking about that, the power that par 3 has on players, I don't know another par 3 that has that same effect. No.
Yeah, I would say in terms of the most kind of mentally destroying par 3, yeah, that's the one. If the question was, you can right now you can go and play any par 3 hole in the world, what would it be? It probably would be Pebble. Being honest,
really interesting.
We just think that it's to do with the kind of, it's the elements, it's the wind, you're basically hitting out towards the ocean. That's the par 3 I would probably go and play if you were to say, I'm going to take you right now and drop you on a par 3.
Okay,
nice. I'm going 17th at Sawgrass. Narrowly pips Augusta's 12. Righty? Are you sitting on the fence again?
I'd love to play TPC. It's the 17 TPC.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Three in the water.
That wraps up my little quiz round. Thank you for playing, chaps. There are no prizes on offer here. But there was a nice prize that came to Lee Westwood this weekend, and it's kind of somewhat in no way whatsoever going to segue into what we were talking about next, and it's kind of the use of caddies and technology in the game. Now, for those who don't know, Lee Westwood has his fiance, or rather had his fiance on the bag the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure what he's doing this week, but he's set to apparently have his son on the bag for the Masters, which I thought is pretty cool. You know, I've already alluded to it. I can't remember the last time watching professional golf and seeing someone so relaxed, look like he's genuinely enjoying himself and just looking like he's having a great time. I don't know whether he felt nerves. He definitely felt nerves, but it didn't appear that way. It looks like a positive. Sounds from a positives, the way they were talking about it on the coverage. Yeah, it's something, Tim, I think you picked up. Rory McIlroy, not done the same thing. He's not got his fiancée or wife on the bag, but when he made his caddy change, he decided to bring in one of his mates, and oddly takes a bit of flack for it. I heard him talking about it on the broadcast the other day, that Jordan Spieth, when he made the change, brought in his mate, who was a maths teacher at the time. So people who have got no prior experience. Now, they're not new cases. This is particularly Spieth and McIlroy. They've been on the bag for a while, but the more success these guys have, do you think that players, once they start hitting a rut in form, they might make that tweak as well? in regards to getting a loved one, getting a family member, getting a friend on the bag. What do we think? What are the benefits? What are the pros? What are the cons of doing so, do you think, Tim?
So in terms of will a player look to change a caddy when they have a drop in form? Absolutely. Happens all the time. It's obviously such a personal thing, right? It's about kind of identifying what you want to get out or when you're at your best. So I can understand the thinking of being, if I've got my mate out with me, it might make me feel like I'm back to playing when I was young and just being carefree and just enjoying it, playing for the sheer pleasure of doing it, and that's going to result in better golf. I can understand that way of thinking. Because there was the interesting the other week, wasn't there, with was it Max Homer, that he messages or gets messages from his wife or girlfriend either between rounds.
Yeah, his wife called him in between the 18th and the first playoff hole.
Yeah,
it seems bonkers.
But apparently that's really, she does that. That's like a regular ongoing thing. She's watching events. She's sort of saying to him, like, calm down, park it, move on. So that's
don't fuck this up. There's a lot of money on the line. Please win this tournament.
Yeah. So it's such a personal thing. So I think, will it happen more? Possibly. I mean, if you're
Fleetwood's a prime example, isn't he? Fleetwood put his mate on the bag and has been loving life since.
The interesting angle is that there's no guarantee, right? It's not like putting your mate on the bag or putting your loved one on the bag is going to lead to better performances, because whether you think it's for this reason or not, the fact is out there that Rory, since he changed his caddy, hasn't won a lot, and a lot of commentary about it. And my personal, very, very uneducated, sofa-based, not expert view of this is that Rory needs someone else on his bag and needs someone to kind of challenge him a bit more and push him. I don't think that's what's happening at the moment. I actually think, and I know he works with Adam Scott now, doesn't he? I would love to see what happens if you put Steve Williams on Rory's bag.
I don't disagree. I think you got to look at what you need, what you're looking for in a caddy. And I think it's very, very interesting. Like, clearly Fleetwood's caddy, although his mate is clearly a very, very good caddy, whatever it is that you want that caddy to do, right? Clearly, Westy having his girlfriend, fiance on the bag, clearly a very good caddy, whatever she is providing, even if it is to the point of let's chill, relax. And if that's what Westwood needs and to have fun, then that's the caddy's doing the right thing. And I think there is a point where someone, a Rory or whoever, you're going, actually, look, that you don't need someone to be more chilled out. You need someone to help you make better decisions, or you need someone to help you do whatever. Like, I think it depends who you are and what you're looking for in terms of from that caddy. Yeah,
really quickly. Sorry to jump in on the Rory thing. We kind of said we were going to come to it early, but we never actually did. So Rory admitted over this weekend, that he thinks his swing has been thrown out because he has tried to follow what Bryson's doing and increase his swing speed, hit longer, hit harder. He has freely admitted that's the reason behind why he's not feeling comfortable right now. If I was on his bag, or whoever's on his bag, should be saying, why are you copying him? Go back. He already hits the ball so fast. You are better than this guy. You know this. Go back to thinking and playing like you were between, I don't know, 2010 and 2015, 16. So just go back to that.
But that's not the caddy's job, is it? That's the coach's job, right?
It's not. But I mean, if his mate is on the bag, would his mate not have a bit of that?
His caddy will be able to have a certain degree of influence. I'm fairly sure of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to interject with that.
That is really, like, when I heard him say that, I'm like, shit, man, you already hit the ball as far. Like, what? I don't understand what your goal here was. Like, you don't need an extra 10. Like, you genuinely don't need an extra 10 yards or whatever. Like, what were you what were you going after? And I think it's just interesting. I think I don't think he's alone. Is the first thing. I think there are players all throughout the tours who have seen that and gone, okay, this is serious. What do I need to do? And I think there are also players that have gone, no, you know what, screw that. I thought it was really interesting. Did we mention this last week about, who was it? Webb Simpson, who it was like, yeah, I'd love to do what he's doing. He's like, but I've got a family with 5 kids. When am I going to have the time to put in the training and the time that he's putting in? He's like, I can't. Physically, I can't. And he's like, I'm okay with that. And I think that's kind of where you're at. I think Rory wants to put in the time to improve or get quicker, but I just don't know why. Like, I don't understand the why for him.
Yeah.
The thing is with that, and it's something that super speed, if we get the guys on, they'll talk you through it. It's what the long drivers talk about on their social media. If you're going to pursue that sort of stuff, you have to accept the trade-offs, and you have to commit to it for an extended period of time. You're not going to see significant differences in 4 weeks and 6 weeks and 8 weeks. Bryson capitalized on the forced layoff, the time off. And what he said was, what is going to make me the best player? I basically got to get faster and stronger and bigger. So he went and did it. Yeah. To then try and replicate that mid-season when you're trying to play for money every single week, it's a completely different ballgame. This is where, if you're looking to really progress on speed, it needs to be a concerted effort of like, I accept I'm going to be spraying it a little bit and commit whole hog to it. Rory McIlroy probably didn't even need to do it.
Yeah. But I think with Rory, I think there's a lot of mindset issues going on, right? And I think this is just one of the many things that's in his head right now. And yet, we're talking about the caddy. There's so many different factors that go into it, and he's just clearly not in a good headspace. Like, he's just good in terms of like where is as a competitive athlete, he's just not in that right space, is he, at the moment?
That's exactly, particularly in golf. Golf's more evident than any other sport, I think, because you are on your own and you're playing against 140 other people every single week. And if you are and were the best player in the world, people are always going to be harsh and critique you when you're not the best player in the world. Let's be fair to him. He has still been in relatively good form as a professional golfer recently. It's just his astronomically high standards. He's not been back up.
It is that point where you're like, imagine having people that disappointed in you and you're still making millions every year and finishing in like top tens, and just imagine that like level of stress and pressure that must bring. Like, that is nuts.
Yeah. Right. Just heading back to the caddies. We'll divert it back. Yeah. Going back to kind of Lee Westwood, I think it's something that I think it was on the Eric Anders Lang podcast. I heard the interview with Lee Westwood, and I thought it was quite insightful. I think it's completely dependent on the person, whether there's going to be benefit there. And I think you've got to be at a certain stage in your career. If you are a young player on tour, there is a high chance you're going to need the additional guidance, someone who knows the course as well. So having the experience on the bag is going to help. Lee Westwood is not a spring chicken, and he said he finds it quite therapeutic going out the day before a tournament and doing all his own yardages, doing all of his own reads, basically doing the caddy's job and literally just having his fiance to carry the bag. He said he actually enjoys that. I can't imagine too many other pros being in the same boat. And like he said, he's 47 now. It's a chance for him and his fiance to see the world together instead of being a long way apart, particularly with having grown up kids, which is going to be a big part for that particular scenario of players getting their fiancés on the bag or wives on the bag. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few more do it, because we saw how much fun Lee Westwood was appearing to have over the past 2 weeks, and I think other players are possibly going to be taking note of that. But enjoying yourself doesn't always correlate with good performances.
I do feel it could be risky though. I just putting your wife on the bag is a potential recipe for divorce.
Yeah, that's it, Lee. That's what Westwood said in the thing. He said it could have gone one of two ways, but he knew that she was the right character for it, because he would look around and she would just be like, "It's only putting a ball in the hole," and just give it it really doesn't matter, grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Whereas she's not going to be sat there going, by the way, this putt's worth 750 grand. Probably should put this on.
Probably should bet this one. Yeah. Right. Second part of kind of the talk about caddies and tech in the game. Now, this is something that Chris, I know you made a good point in our group chat, so I'm not going to take any of the credit for this. So I'm going to hand it straight over to you.
Yeah. So it comes from this. It comes from seeing, Westwood with his girlfriend or fiance, whichever one. I'm not sure what they're at, but on the bag, and it just got me asking the question of, what do you think the tour would look like? What do you think the leaderboards would look like if you took away caddies? If players, you took away, like, they all sit there for half an hour reading where the lines are on the green. Like, take that away. Like, actually have to look at the green, read the green, feel the green, like, look at it. No caddy telling you where to aim. Just like how we play golf, right? They're allowed a couple of practice rounds, sure. But take away the caddies, whatever the caddy's being used for, take away the green reading books. You can have like your classic course guide, like, sure, have that. Do you think it would impact the game largely? Do you think winners and losers would be very different? Do you think leaderboards would look different if there were no caddies for play in the tour? Ben, I'm going to come to you first.
Well, first off, going on the green book thing, I've got a feeling that they're going to be scrapped at some point this year. I think as soon as you start hearing tour pros murmur that they shouldn't be allowed, then I think that kind of starts to snowball. I know John Rahm's kind of spoken about it, and a couple of others have. I just don't. It doesn't add anything to the sport as a spectacle. If anything, it takes it away, because you kind of think, that is a skill, like you said, and I think a pro should be doing that, and I think it would benefit the game. Naturally, I think that is going to add on 1, 2, possibly 3, possibly more shots around. I think you then factor in, if you take a caddy off the bag, I think as an amateur looking in, we don't really appreciate and or know how much caddies actually do for their players. There is a reason why they are paid, I think it's 10%. Someone might be able to correct me on that. Yeah, there is a reason why they're paid a hefty fee, and the top caddies in the world, make a very, very good living from it. And it's clearly because there's a lot of value there. We've just spoken about everyone has the potential to put a mate on, but not everyone has the potential to go and put a Stevie Williams on the bag, someone who's been there, seen it, done it. I think the winning score would be a lot lower if we got rid of everything, which I don't think would be a bad thing for the game.
As in not -20.
Wouldn't be -20. I think we're talking -12 on a really good week. So I think, winning scores would go down. But then I also think the guy who comes in last place and misses the cut is going to be shooting a lot higher. Okay.
Is there anyone that you think without a caddy, that from what you see, that you think without a caddy they'd be somewhere else in the leaderboard, they'd be further down?
Oh, after watching him last weekend, Billy Horschel. I love Billy. But I just thought the way I saw him lose his rag the other week, I was like, I'm pretty sure a caddy's going to know the right moment to step in and be like, look, Billy, you're actually playing well. Just keep it chilled for, have a deep breath, do this, do that. I think we'd probably be surprised. And I think that's one thing I've said it to us and you guys in the group chat about. It's surprising to hear how much professionals get pissed off and how much they shout and swear at bad shots. It's something that's not really apparent when there's crowd noise there, because it quietens it down. But with having crowds there, with having no crowds there, rather, you're noticing it more how frustrated they get. And I'm pretty sure that the caddy's going to do a massive job in keeping their players under control. Because we've, me more than most, you two have no doubt hit shots when you're frustrated. They very rarely go all that well.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that the pros, they'd be better at controlling their emotions than the average hacker, but they're not robots. I'm pretty sure there'd be quite a few more loose shots about.
I like it, for sure. Timbo, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, there's part of me which thinks without caddies, I reckon it might take longer for the younger players to come through and break into the system. Because I think when you're young and you're raw, the emotions and the mental toughness is something that you have to really work out over time. The exception to that is someone like a Morikawa, who is quite obviously, and Victor Hovland, who are super mentally strong. Conversely, I think without caddies, I think you'd see the older guys higher up the leaderboards for longer. Look at Westwood, right?
Well, that's what's triggered this whole conversation.
That's where this conversation's come from. Because like there are two things in it, right? You've got talent and you've got the mental side of it. And the caddy, I would suspect, is more responsible for the mental side of it, and obviously some supplementary information, which, as we say, might be going anyway. I think that on the basis of supplementary information, I think someone like Bryson would really struggle without a caddy, without a shadow of a doubt. Whereas if you're kind of more chilled out, I would say maybe instinctive players like a DJ would probably still be up there, I reckon. So like a Patrick Cantlay, I reckon, would probably still be right up there. I think where you might see
Rahm feels quite instinctive.
Yeah, you think about how fiery and that the emotional side, because you know, but then it goes so far. I mean, Garcia is like probably one of the most emotional golfers you've ever seen in your life. Is a caddy really going to chill him out at all? Probably not. So yeah, it's really difficult. I'll just go back to what I said at the start. I think the younger guys would take longer to break through, and I think the older guys would still be around for longer if we didn't have caddies.
I'm just going to finish the section with pitching that they play a tournament without caddies. I'd love to see it and just see what it comes out as.
Are they allowed to push trolleys, or have they got a carry? Because that's 5 shots right there, remember?
I would say with the bags that they have, they would be able to have a trolley, sure.
Be interested to see them slug those around and everything they've got. Bags
only. Yeah, I'd just be really interested. I'd like to see what happened. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, nice.
Right.
I'm going to take the opportunity to bring this full circle. This is the podcast for hackers, shankers, toppers, duffers. So I'm going to bring it back full circle to the real world. I'm going to put it out there to you guys. Right now, the way we currently play the game and where our game and heads are at, what kind of caddy would you right now be employing to be on your bag? In the case of Ben, it would probably be a mental coach, I would suspect. But no, let's go there. Come on, Ben. Let's take it to you first. What do you need from your caddy right now?
Yeah, so I split this up into pre-round and on course because I know there's a trait that I've got when I'm on the range warming up, which I'm quite indecisive. If I start hitting balls and I'm hitting a fade, just everything's fading, I sit there and I'm like, should I just commit to the fact that I'm playing a fade all day today, or should I start playing like I'm hitting it straight? So I'm quite indecisive in that. So I'd quite like a caddy to just stand there and be like, you're hitting a fade. That's what we're playing all day. No questions asked. Cool. Brilliant. Yeah. Moving on.
This is your target. Aim there. Go.
Yeah. Big thing for me is I'm not expecting you to create the food. I'm more than happy to do that, but do not forget
feeding
the food. Do not forget the food and water. We need all meals, all calories ready to go, because as we know, if I'm losing it a bit, that is one of my tactics on the course, is to, like a young child, pacify myself with a bit of food. Always helps. And then final one, pre-round, would be, I've been donating a lot of golf balls recently to golf courses. Pack a lot of balls because we're running out of those very, very quickly at the moment. On the course, big thing for me was, well, you're going to need to be good at the psychology side of things. Don't tell me to calm down, because telling someone to calm down is just the worst advice I think I've ever heard. I mean, no one ever calms down after being told that.
Chill out, Ben, mate. You'll be fine if you just calm the fuck down.
But it's kind of, I think, a big thing for me, and it's something that all the way back when we spoke to James Landon, the golf psychologist. I've started putting things in place, like I've got a phone wallpaper that I put on of things to remember: pre-shot, post-shot, chipping, putting. And at the moment, I think I've got written on there about, look, the pros hit bad shots. You've got 10 yards to be annoyed about it and then forget about it. And that I would just need someone reminding me. I've got it on my phone to try and remind me, but obviously the phone's in the pocket and you miss it. So I would like someone to say, look, you hit a shit shot, fine, let it go. You're allowed to be pissed off. You've got 10 yards. All right. After that, stop sulking, because that's when the bad golf starts to come in. And I quite like a lot of chat in between shots. It helps me relax, probably similar to what Westy was with his fiance. I know you see some players striding off into the distance 40 yards in front of their caddy. I don't think I'd like that. I'd quite like the chat in between. It keeps me relaxed and not thinking too much about the next shot. And then final thing is pre-shot. I like to, we've spoken about this before in regards to my lessons. I like to know everything. Give me all the numbers that you've got. Wind, how far are each points? Will I need to hammer it? Play a particular shot? All right. I want to know everything. And then we'll come to a decision on the club. Don't just hand it to me. That is what I would look for.
You really thought about this, okay? I feel like you've written out like a job description ready to send out for people to apply for this role. Mine is much, I'd say, simpler. I just went 2 signs to this. One, they have to know the course. That for me is crucial. Like if we're playing a course I've never played before, I want someone who knows the course. Who, like, imagine like just like the blind shots. You're playing a course and there's blind shots. You want someone who's like, you need to aim for that. Like that's the thing in the distance. That's your line. Like I kind of want that. Or when you get to a green and you think, yeah, I feel like that's going left, and you putt it and it goes right. Someone who's played there before, who knows the course, knows that happens. So I want someone who has that kind of intel. And then for me, the big key thing while out the course is keeping me out of my own head. And that really comes down to, Ben, what you've just said. Like in between shots, not talking about what's happening next or what's just happened. It's just talking about any random shit. And then when we get to the shot, right, focus, Chris, just fucking hit it. Like, just go, hit it. As you said, make a decision and go. Because I think I get way too in my own head. And I think to a detriment of my game. Not overthinking swing thoughts, just mentally draining. Like, well, what if I did this? Well, what if I did that? And over. And like, I think that would be a big thing for me. Keep out of my own head.
I mean, it's something that I noticed kind of last summer, and it somewhat ties into it. But I think it was my 3rd best ever round. I think I shot 80. Some of the best golf I've ever played. Some of the best shots I've ever played. Yeah, it was after a couple of beers because we'd already played 80 in the morning. But we were essentially playing speed golf. There were 4 of us. No, yeah, 4 of us, and we went round in sub 4 hours. I think it was like 3.5. Because we were losing daylight.
A super busy course I had as well because
we were losing daylight quickly, and it was a case of just your number, take your club and swing. No practice swings, none of that. Yeah, line up the putt, and that amazingly led to, like I said, the 3rd best ever round. Yeah, it's not the toughest golf course in the world, but I walked off there thinking, crap, why don't I do this every week? Because it helps, because you're not in your own head.
Yeah. What would you look for, Jim?
So I thought about this. I did go a little bit deep in this, not as deep as Ben, but what I need someone that is quite relaxed, but definitely not a mate. I couldn't have a mate on the bag. I would relax too much. As soon as I'm out on the golf course with mates, I find it impossible not to just chat and have a laugh and make jokes, and probably does distract me from time to time.
I feel like that's what we need when we're on the golf course. Obviously not anything to shop. I feel like that's an important part.
Yeah, I think if it was like in terms of actually trying to really improve me and like win like our little competitions we have between us, I think I would need someone who is relaxed but also would tell me off. I need telling off on the golf course. I literally need someone to be like, Tim, you're not doing this.
Yeah.
I told you weren't doing this 2 holes ago, and you're still doing the same shit you're doing. Cut it out. Go back to what we talked about at the start of the round, or what we talked about in practice and training. I need someone to actually kind of have a bit of a go at me, I think, to really get out of me. I'd also potentially take someone that's a little bit older, a bit more experienced, but like a sage, wise head that can kind of say, look, there's literally no point you getting worked up and annoyed about this at all. If I had to put like a name on it, like someone like an Annika Sorenstam would be like so good.
You've gone with you've gone with an actual player.
She'd be so good to have on the bag. She'd be like, she's been there, she's done it all. She's kind of got the solemn, but I think she'd have a go at you if you were like not doing the stuff she told you to do. And she'd see something really quickly, like I don't know what's a good example. You're not accelerating through your putts again, you idiot.
Yeah,
literally that's what I need. I need someone to have a go at me, and for me to feel like oh, Tim, stop getting angry at yourself. Stop getting annoyed about the game. There's stuff you're not doing. Just do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would actually need.
Yeah, fair. Like it.
I like that.
Like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, it would be quite nice to have a caddy for the day, and I'm not going to lie. And hand them a sheet of paper and just be like, "Do this, please."
Make me better.
There's
Can
not
you
a
imagine
lot.
being Ben's caddy, turning up and getting handed like a menu? Can you go make this quickly before we pop into the kitchen and rustle up a 4-course lunch?
Now, there's for all the listeners out there. Now, there's not a lot of pay in it, but I can assure you, it would be good fun if you fancied it for a day. come carry the bag.
We'll buy you a club
That's
sandwich.
a lot of pay. What you mean is there's zero pay, and you're likely to pay for your own travel, and you'll be self-funded essentially.
Yeah, I'll get you some lunch. Right, chaps, to round off today, something we're going to go through kind of fairly quickly. We've mentioned all three of these at one point in today's podcast episode, so it's I feel like it definitely needs to be in here. We are revisiting a topic that Tim brought up not too long ago. Cannot for the life of me remember the courses, but Tim set us 3 golf courses, and he said to us, right, you get to play one, you get to spectate at one, and you've got to demolish the final one.
Okay.
See it off. See you later. Never to be seen again. Right, I've got 3 golf courses for you, and I think this one is not going to be a landslide, a bit like it was last time. Obviously, I've thrown Sawgrass in there.
Okay.
Second golf course is Augusta National.
Oh.
Third golf course is Pebble Beach.
Oh, okay.
Oh no!
I wanted to see where you went with this because I've already got mine written down. I kind of know where I'm at, and I just want to see who matches up with me and what your reasonings would be. So, Mr. Wright, neither of you look ready, but I'm coming to you first.
I'm so happy you've gone to Chris.
Yeah, I'm immediately devastated. I'm going to go gut feeling here. I'm going to go spectate Augusta, play Pebble, get rid of Sawgrass.
Wow. Okay.
I think.
Interesting.
Even though I just said that the 17th at Sawgrass is better than the par 3 at Pebble, I still think I prefer to play Pebble.
Interesting. Mr. Williams, where do you sit?
I'm playing Augusta because you can't.
Sure.
Basically. Because, there's literally, you just can't do it. I would spectate at Pebble.
That's wrong.
Again,
that's actually wrong, Tim. That's actually wrong. Yeah.
You got to think about this deeper. Pebble Beach, right?
Yeah.
You've got that golf course. You've got those historic holes. You've got that par 3. You've got the 18th.
Sure. So
holes. You've got the vista. It's on the ocean. It's just incredible. It's beautiful. Lest we forget, when you're a spectator, presumably you get the weekend there and you get the night out afterwards. You're in California. Beautiful. California versus Florida. No offense if you're listening to Florida.
Hey,
very nice.
Drive down to Miami. Miami looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, you've driven from Florida to Miami, have you? It's just down the road, is it?
It's a long one.
Jacksonville, Florida's a fair way, yeah. We're in America. They're short trips for them.
Interesting. So you prefer to watch the Pebble Beach tournament than the Masters, or?
I'm playing Augusta.
Sure, but what I'm saying is you've picked to watch Pebble instead of the Players.
Yes.
And that's why I think you're wrong.
Interesting. So this is where I had a feeling that it could end up being this way. We're all completely different. I would play Augusta, echoing Tim, because we can't. I would unfortunately demolish Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I just after watching Sawgrass this weekend, I think perching myself on 17 at Sawgrass would be Excellent. And as you can probably tell, listeners, this has thrown a cat amongst the pigeons, and we could probably discuss this all night and never agree. So that makes 2 subjects tonight. So that's a personal best for the boys. If you're, let us know what you think. Let us know which you would play, Spectate, Demolish. I enjoyed thinking that one. I had a feeling it would go down this route. And
Ben, I can't get rid of Pebble Beach, but I can't. I wouldn't. What? Yeah, I'm over that. I'm right.
The drama at Sawgrass makes it for me, and I want to play Augusta. So
sure, I can understand that.
I think just to be super, super, super controversial, just to really round this one out, I think you could build another Sawgrass. I don't think you could build another Pebble Beach.
I agree.
Nah.
Play, spectate, demolish, rebuild.
Yeah.
Now, I like your chat.
Pete Dye did a good, and I think Sawgrass is there to stay. By Pebble Beach, you can become a lovely beach again. Right. On that note, chaps, anything more?
No, that's all.
Right, we will see you guys real soon.
Catch you later.